Hey, I'm Tanner Kalina. Happy second week of Lent, everybody. So when I was in high school, I went on a week-long camp with my best friend, and I had the time of my life. Between all the dodgeball and the kneeboarding and the mountain biking and the scavenger hunts and the praise and worship, I just fell head over heels for Jesus, and I really wanted to keep that fire for the Lord going when I got home. But that camp high quickly faded as soon as I saw my mom. I was immediately irritable and impatient. And because I recognized that in myself, I was even more irritable and impatient. And within a matter of hours, I came crashing back down to earth. And the sheer disappointment that I felt in myself made me feel like I couldn't pick it back up. I felt like I was stuck in my ways, and I felt like I would be false trying to be any other way. Maybe you can relate to this experience. Maybe you've encountered Jesus at a youth group night or at a conference during the summer or in the quiet of your own chapel, and you've really wanted to ride that emotional high out into the world. You've really wanted to keep that fire burning for the Lord, and then you realized that the frenzy of life, other people's expectations of you, your own responsibilities, your own insecurities and fears, all came back at you full force, and before you knew it, poof. You felt like that encounter never happened at all. Maybe you forgot about that youth group night or that conference or that quiet prayer time until this very minute. This is kind of like Peter in today's gospel reading in the Transfiguration. During the Transfiguration, Peter saw Jesus in his full glory, and he wanted to remain in that moment. It was a radical encounter of our Lord. But Jesus brought Peter back down the mountain along with James and John, and then life resumed normally. And then a little bit later, the frenzy of Jesus' passion and the intensity of that moment caused Peter to forget that encounter altogether, and he ended up denying our Lord 3 times that same night. This is a common experience amongst believers, and if you find yourself caught in this pattern, you don't have to remain in it. In fact, our Lord doesn't want you to remain in it. But how do we get out of it? Well, we need to remember that these big encounters with Jesus, these big emotional highs, aren't necessary for a life of discipleship with him. They're great if they happen, but they're not why we follow Jesus. We don't need these emotional highs. They're great if they happen, but sometimes it's greater if they don't happen. We need encounters with Jesus, but sometimes an encounter can feel totally normal. Following Jesus is a slow, gradual transformation of becoming more and more like Christ, and therefore more and more like our true selves, and therefore more and more alive. In the modern world, we've been conditioned to expect instant results, immediate gratification, but that's not the spiritual life. So we need to remember that first and foremost. And then we need to remember our encounters with God. The act of remembering is a very important spiritual practice. Zakar is the Hebrew word meaning to remember. St. Gregory of Nazianzus once said, "It is more important that we should remember God than that we should breathe." But you can only remember your encounters with Jesus if you pray. This is why the last couple of weeks I've really been harping on the practices of almsgiving, prayer, and fasting. We need to ingrain these practices into our lives so that we can remember our encounters with God, draw strength from them, and then experience the slow, gradual transformation that Christ has in store for us. It's really heartbreaking to know that there are so many people out there who have really, truly encountered Jesus only to get caught in the frenzy of life and forget all about those encounters. So today, my brothers and sisters, I really want to encourage you to spend some time in prayer and ruminate on your past encounters with the Lord. Plant little flagpoles in your memory that you can constantly go back to during times of doubt or stagnancy in your spiritual life. And if today you're praying and nothing comes to mind, you can't remember any past encounters with our Lord, then pray to encounter him during this Lent. This Lent, we should prioritize encountering our Lord anew. And again, it doesn't have to be an emotional high. Sometimes it's better if that encounter feels totally normal. My brothers and sisters, please know that I'm praying for you. Please continue to pray for me. God bless.